It's 9:00, Monday, April 15th, 2024. I'll call Chickasaw County Board of Supervisors meeting to order. Roll call, we have full board and Board Secretary Sheila Shackleton. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second. Motion and seconded to approve the agenda. Any further discussion?
Yeah, there's a clerical error under the closed session. It's supposed to be 21.5, subsection 1, subsection I.
21.5, subsection 1, subsection I.
Yep. So it should have been a space between 1 and 5.
We'll watch it about parentheses.
Yeah.
You guys are okay with that change?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Get a motion to approve the minutes from April 8th.
I'll move on the minutes of April 8th to be approved.
Motion and seconded. Any further discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Is there a motion to approve minutes from April 11th?
I'll move to approve the April 11th minutes.
Second. Been seconded. Any further discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Oh, myself abstaining as well.
Vote to approve semi-annual report for the treasurer.
Man, you know, Brandon, do you know if all the taxes came in?
No.
You know what percent or not?
I can go and run the report and see where we're at as of today. I think it was, when we checked in early April, it was pretty much right on track for kind of where we normally are.
Any other questions for Matt?
I'll make a motion to approve the county treasurer's semi-annual report ending March 31st, 2024.
Second.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Acknowledge the notice of termination for temporary clerical services for the auditor's office.
So this is, Kathy Lechtenberg was so nice to come in and help us out when we were in transition, and now the contract is over and I had her sign a notice of termination for the temporary services. And they were, so she signed it as of April 8th, so.
Make a motion acknowledging notice termination for temporary clerical service, the auditor's office, Kathy Lechtenberg, dated April 8th.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Any further discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 9:05, we have a public comment. No public comment, we're gonna move to, discuss and appoint safety coordinator for Chickasaw County.
So what was your update, Scott, with Heartland?
Heartland has made it mandatory that we have to have a safety committee now. And I know Renee Carey has been to, when she was at the OSHA 10 training, she, got quite a bit more information on what the coordinator is supposed to do, what the committee's supposed to be doing.
So I know we threw around paying for this position because this coordinator is gonna be doing a lot more paperwork and countywide. Just an idea, I don't know if you guys support it, but every year the secondary road sends us a claim for accident investigation on our road system, and that is being funded through 51. And, you know, we kind of do the same thing with our land use administrator. We pay him out of that budget, unless you guys think there's another budget, or the boats are not here. Do we just put her in charge and see where it goes? And I think, we can ask Roman, but can she do this during her normal work day? Or are they looking at overtime? Or what do you know, Scott?
I just, when you visit with me, I would assume she could do it during her normal work day, but I don't know what Roman's thoughts are on that either, so.
So that would be to pay this out of 51, which is general services.
Yeah, so there's a line item. I looked at it before. Administration services, we budget like 75,000 a year. There is 56,000 left in it today, roughly. That's where we're paying Avers and Cooney out of. That's where we pay who else? The investigation accidents. Looks like shredding might come out of there sometimes.
So is she gonna have to keep the time separate then?
So that's what we have to discuss. We've never discussed it yet. So, you know, do we just say an extra $1 an hour? Which would be 2,000 roughly, or do we just, I don't know, because nobody knows. I mean, does any county have an experience of how much time this takes?
Hardin County would be, I would guess would be my best bet to get some information. They've been doing it probably longer than anybody else in the pool. Tama County does theirs totally different. They've got a full-time position and that's all they do.
I think we wait and see, how much time this position takes, because we have other positions in the county that take a lot of time, such as being secretary for the board. There's no additional compensation there.
Yeah, it's per hour long.
Though we have to have one, it's not that she has to do it.
No, she can appoint anybody she wants.
Well, we would appoint somebody, wouldn't we?
Nope.
She.
Auditor.
Right.
Auditor.
Yep.
You know. I mean, the only thing that I see is it should not be RSB or secondary road fund paying for this whole thing unless countywide safety.
So maybe we should check with the other counties and get like a little,
I pose the same question, why do we pay for accident investigations under 51 for the past 15, 20 years, you know? And that's strictly on the secondary road system, so why was it okay back before my time? I just, unless we find somebody else that can do it, you know, do we put it on the chair of the board? You know? I don't know, so, I mean, do you wanna?
Well,
We don't have-
we can find out how much, I mean, I can make some calls and find out how much time is today. I mean, I know initially it's gonna take more time to get things up and going. After that, I'm not sure how, I don't feel like it's gonna take a lot of time after that, but.
And the Heartland's not requiring, coordinator. They're just requiring a safety committee.
Yeah. I can get,
Do you want the coordinator to appoint the committee? I mean,
well, that
we would
was,
have to
we had
appoint the
kind of
committee.
talked, yeah, we kind of talked about having the coordinator appoint the committee and then we would acknowledge those appointments.
So I don't know what else we need.
I don't know, do you have any
Right
idea
there.
how much time it's gonna take to do this position?
The first bit is gonna take some serious time because there's things I'm not gonna talk about in open meeting, violations that are serious, need to be taken care of right away. But I would say it'd be nice to do like a year agreement and then reevaluate it in a year. Because I think in a year, we should be pretty minimal. Because you have everything up to date and everything should be running smoothly.
Have you talked to Roman? Is it gonna fit in your schedule with being his office
Yeah.
assistant?
Mhm. I mean, there's a lot of things that I've changed since I've started, you know, how it is to make efficiencies, things like that, so. I wouldn't say I could do it if I didn't think that I could, because, I mean, I wanna do a good job. And I think that you guys need to get on board and either to send people home the same way they came to work. And right now, there's quite a few things that are a problem.
You guys got any questions for me?
I think we need to do something.
And you got Troy coming in a couple of weeks, so if you don't make any decisions, you guys can deal with it.
You wanna check with another county or two, see what?
I can check and see if, get an idea, a better idea on time and if that's.
I just think Renee, what I've seen is, does anybody in the auditor's office wanna do it?
Melissa in Mitchell County has the same position I do as secondary roads, and she's a safety coordinator for the county.
Mhm.
So she would be your best person to ask,
I mean, you guys have
because you'd
what?
be comparing an apple to an apple.
Correct, you have 20 employees,
30 total.
30. We almost got a third of the staff. Let's check with a couple more, but I mean, you're willing to do it too.
Yeah,
I mean,
I want to do it, I mean, like, it's worth way more than what I'm asking for. But
What are you asking for?
$2 an hour, that's what Melissa gets paid in Mitchell. That's why I say a year agreement, because in a year, if everything should be the way it is, I don't know that it should be that much. Well, that much in a
So
year.
about 4,000.
Yeah, I think it was 5 that Roman figured, or 4, 2
It was
times.
2,080.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, to do a basically 3/4 position.
I think we'll go back to it if we can, if we're not done today, but we got a public hearing.
Yeah.
We got to go to public hearing. Thanks for that.
Alright. Need a motion to open a public hearing on the 2024-2025 county budget.
So moved. Second.
Motion and seconded, any further discussion? If not, roll call, Matt,
Aye.
Jake,
Aye.
Steve.
Aye.
Travis.
Aye.
And myself, aye. Is there any public comment on the budget?
I have a couple on your legal notice, your explanation. You have line 18 mentioned with increased daily operating expenses, salary and fringe benefits. Then you jump to line 22. So I would like to know what the reasons are for line 19, 21, 20, and 27, please, first of all. Because it's not for transparency reasons for the taxpayers.
Okay, for which ones, for,
Line 19, first of all,
okay, so line 19. So basically, the increases with the, let's see, that was. That would be my healthcare. And actually, a lot of the healthcare, they went down in wages and that, but it was basically with the healthcare, or the public health, with the, if there's increases, it's usually with daily operations and the health insurance.
Our budget went down.
Correct.
Public health went down from this, yes, we had a budget amendment of 65,000, but next year it went down. We reduced it twice, and that includes the environmental health. So I assume it would be the health insurance, and probably the wages increase. But our total budget did go down.
Correct, it did.
Okay, so I'm just saying that that's probably what the reasons are for line 19 is the wages and fringe benefits. Okay,
And the next one was,
21, county environment.
and the county environment too. I mean, basically, everybody's been running kind of lean and mean, but the healthcare and the daily operations have went up.
Did you increase anything else on the other service areas within that group?
So,
County conservation went up, about 90,000 for the shelter and some concrete work, I think, in the
yeah, you
bathrooms
want it done.
at the Twin Ponds Nature Center.
Okay.
And wages and health insurance.
Okay, then line 22, you got that in there. Then you go into 24. What about line 23? That's where your elections and all that.
And basically with the elections are, that's a general, election. So we figured that the cost for the elections and would be a little bit higher, due to everybody's cost going up and plus the wages and that.
There's only, okay. The elections probably is because you only have part of your salary of one deputy in there, right? And then, of course, the precincts were reduced from 14 precincts down to 9 or 10, right? Which you want me to change so that those should be cost factor in that probably also. So, and I understand the treasurer and recorder's in there also. Okay, then you have line, the debt service went down, it seems like. And then line 27, your capital projects, that's a big decrease.
Yes, and the 600,000 is basically what, I do believe what we're,
The water project.
this is the water project and,
And we don't have a lot of money coming in from the feds for the bridge project.
So some of the projects,
Secondary
secondary road projects got completed.
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. I'm just asking as a taxpayer.
Oh, yeah.
Because they weren't listed in here, and normally they are. And,
And my apologies, because I was under the assumption that if they went up, then you list them. But there was one that I missed that had went up there 5,000.
yeah, I'm just gonna say that taxpayers need to know what the increases are on every line item, whether it increases or decreases, if that's more transparency for the taxpayer. And then, I compared then we're going to go to the total budget of the county. My taxes went up 400 without new construction, which we had new construction, $400 with the levy rates that are proposed. And then with my new construction on our building, it went up another $300. And that's in Dayton Township, that's almost 21 or 24%.
Is that all?
That's all the levies, proposed levies.
All the proposed,
Yes, I got that from,
right.
And I compared each one, like, I know the rollback went from 56 to 40, 46 or something like that too, I understand that. And I know the new construction is what we have, but a $400 increase just without, no new construction is almost 24% in Dayton Township.
And Ray had, even when doing nothing, it seemed like the taxes were gonna go up because the valuations went up.
But valuations, I also looked at our property in Jacksonville too, that went up, this farmland. That went up about $200. But I'm just saying, a general portion is that the people are not gonna, some of those people are not gonna be able to afford that big of an increase. And I don't know what the percentages are in all the other townships or whatever, because the school did not go up. But our biggest share is the county. And I was wondering have you looked at, and I know that you were talking about considering changing things from one form to another form, moving money around to pay for some of this, the services. But you're going backwards. You should have done this at budget process, during your budget process before you even come up, because right now last week, reading the paper, you found an extra $250,000 by looking at the balance from some of your departments. Shouldn't that have been done earlier, before this public hearing, the first public hearing, of where you could save money? That should have been done as a reestimates. Because you're looking at actual figures, you're re-estimating what you're gonna spend, and you look at those, I assume you look at those budgets every single month where they're at, like all the department heads do.
Did we not ask the departments previously to do a re-estimate at the beginning?
Got their job before, January 15th, right? Just to
But if there were-
re-estimate budget.
I know,
But it wasn't submitted as a re-estimate budget, was it? Did they get a re-estimate of their column when you sent those budget projections out? Was there a column for them to re-estimate their budget?
I'm not sure what the sent out
No, I
was.
don't.
Well, then how are the departments supposed to know that they were supposed to re-estimate their budgets? And I'm just asking, I think you should look at other options instead of flipping flopping where you are, where you wanna pay all this stuff. Because this is quite a bit of hike. And I know you moved some of the deputies into RSP, but now you're thinking about reducing, and that was discussed, reducing the percentage for road, for secondary roads, to compensate for maybe for your deputies, because your ending fund balance in RSP would be low, and it always has been low. It has never reached the 25% unless the property tax relief, which is gone.
So when Sheila gave us the new Indian cash report, after seeing the new document, there's 20% now in RSV, so I'm okay with RSV as it is. I think it comes from the ending fund balances. This is where you have the higher number. You know,
So what are you gonna do with the deputies in the,
we either have to move them back to GBGS or leave them in RSV if the people want to keep RSV lower.
because this is the first time you're moving 2 deputies in RSV. And there's, I assume there might be some legal, how to keep track of all that too. Is there any revenue going into RSV to cover those deputies?
From like the step and the stuff that Chauver would get, I don't believe so.
It's all going into general fund or general basic, general supplemental.
But we
Is
have
there revenue off of those 2 deputies?
service papers, if they do that.
That's in general basic, general, except maybe one department, land use, besides property taxes going in there. But you
And we get
expect the,
Back from somebody back in the cities for asthma.
well, that's at the very beginning, but that goes part of that part. That's very, very minimal, I believe, right?
Yes.
So I'm asking you guys to relook at this. Before you even look at this, before you, as a taxpayer, look at this everywhere else. And then as for the health insurance, you're estimating what percentage in your budgets for the departments to put in there?
6.
And what did it come in at?
3.84.
So why is the difference of that?
The trust funds are running out of money.
So basically, you're backfilling the trust fund also.
And I know last year, we had some money going, or for this current fiscal year, we had some extra, there was a small little sliver of money that was going into the, trust fund as well. It wasn't the set amount, correct?
Correct. So when we adjusted in October 1st, we raised the partial self-funding to put more in.
So are you keeping that separate then? Will you take the premium out? So the taxpayers know what,
It goes into the partial self-fund.
well, you're taking out for the health insurance, but you're also backfilling how much of that is being backfilled of that premium?
Get out of paper, it'd be the difference, 2.1.
Are you putting those in two separate line items like back in 2014?
No,
So really, you don't even know what you're actually putting in, what is the actual cost of the premium then?
yeah, you do.
But on a budget, you're not telling the public that way either, right?
So we're putting, 10 and 25 just for the, partial self-funding. Sorry, I read that wrong. 6910 and 14540 PSF claims funding.
So would it would there be an extra line item so that people can look at that if they want to see what you're backfilling in? Because right now you just have it all going as, I assume, as going out as health insurance.
We do.
I see what you're saying, more transparency.
That's right, for auditing purposes also. Or have you talked to your private auditors?
I don't know how to separate that because you write the check to IGHCP or
Right.
EBS,
Mhm.
right?
Correct. You almost have to write 2 checks or something.
You would have to do it as your employee. Yeah, and we have done that in 2014, but that's immature. I figured you guys would know how to handle that. But I'm just trying to be more for transparency to the taxpayer, so, because you are supposed to be physical custodians of our money and how it's being spent. And some of this stuff, I assume people don't understand. It was just like when you had your public hearing last month, or last week, or whatever it was. Ray did a very good job of explaining this. This is the first time the DOM, but there was explanation on that, how to explain that paperwork that we got. And I tried to find it on the website, and it wasn't there where it should have been, but it was someplace else. If that was also transparent, that would have probably helped a lot of the questions, also to help explain to the taxpayers why they were doing this way. But you always had 2 hearings, and you also got an extra month and a half to do this budget process. Because it was from March 15th, and now you have extended to what, April 30th, I think it is? Right?
It used to be March 30th before COVID.
Well, before that was from,
It was, my
March
first 2
15th.
years, it was March 15th.
and then the schools is always April 15th, and now everybody's. So you do have an extra month and a half to look at these budgets.
Yep.
And the budget process. So that's why I'm asking you guys to relook at this before you make your final decisions. Because I don't think the taxpayers mind if it went up a little bit, but this is quite a bit of jump on both areas.
So you're intimately familiar with the budget, given your previous job and you're a candidate for supervisor. Where do you suggest they cut? That's the same question I asked them. I mean, I hear all the time, we need to cut, but no one seems to come forward and suggest options because no one seems to want to politically or practically or for whatever reason
But that's,
accept those.
I don't have my auditor's hat on anymore.
I know, so I'm asking you, so where would you recommend they cut in the budget?
I would recommend my areas, probably move those 2 deputies back into the general supplemental. They were paid out, they can be paid out of general basic or general supplemental. The 1540.
And I don't want to argue with you, but that's not cutting the budget. I mean, that's just
That's
shifting
for
it
your
around.
expenditures. You would also have to reduce your,
Sorry, I'll be quiet. I want them.
So there would have to be enough money left over in
your
the,
ending fund balances, because you have to reestimate your ending fund balances to come up to what you want to spend. And I think your ending fund balances are going to be higher. In order to do that, you have to reestimate your column or what you're working in now to get your ending fund balance to spend what you want to do. But if you took your deputies out of the rural services basic, that's going to get it back to whatever it was beforehand. And maybe Roman has what did you guys do to Roman this year? What's Roman get, how much percentage?
95.
95 or 85?
95.
I mean, for that, that's next year's 24.
This year's at 85.
And you had 85% and you have gotten everything what you wanted so far of 85%?
We had to do some creative work with our 035 infrastructure account for rock. And then another project. We had a pretty mild winter, which is nice, but if winter was not mild, we've had drought as well. So
But
it
they
was
also,
a good year.
they also reduced your boat claim to 70,000, is that correct?
This year.
But you went back up to 110.
Correct.
But you also gotta look at, if you're moving departments over to the RSB, you're also not giving him, he could also have the 1.68 out of the whole general basic too.
Which historically has not been given to secondary roads in Chickasaw.
No, it happened maybe once or twice.
And that equates to few $100,000.
Maybe 100,000.
127,
Yeah.
if I can remember. So yeah, just for this year, you got 1.7 mil, and at 95 next year, you'll be getting 1.9. So about 130,000 more.
And the year prior was 95. And then with the ambulance service, we adjusted.
But that's how you got your ending fund balance to be up in RSB by giving him 85%, is that correct?
Last year, this current year, yes, John.
Yes. But that's what you gotta think of, creative, like you say, creative thinking.
Anybody else got any comments? I got a written comment here. Chairman Swinsky and Board of Supervisors, greetings to you from the western end of the county. I've been reading the National Reporter of your ongoing budget deliberations and the struggle you are facing. I felt the article was positive and showing signs of critical thinking on the board's part. While the reduction in tax asking is a step in the right direction, you all know it was done mostly by shifting numbers around. Much more needs to be done before the budget is approved, or the problems of the county's tax growth versus actual economic growth are unsustainable, causing pushback from the voters. The policy changes that were discussed need to be discussed again. When I served on your board, I think 80% of new of the county budget was spent on employees, salary, and related benefits. If that is the case, then you must also look at cost containment in hiring policies. Material and equipment costs need reconsideration as well. I know full well your job is not easy, nor is it just a few hours per week in the boardroom. Raising this year's ending fund balance on paper will do nothing but kick the can down the road to next year, only worse. There are many property taxpayers who are on fixed incomes such as CRP, Social Security, and farm rental incomes. Don't keep up with your growth. Please reduce the proposed nearly 19% tax increase by at least 75% to be sustainable budget. It's what needs to be done. Low taxes make happy voters. It is my request to have this letter of protest entered into the hearing of record on April 15th. Thank you for your consideration in this matter and all you do for the county. Arnie Bogey, County Supervisor, retired. Any other comments?
So you show us now in general supplemental with 1,066,342 as an estimated ending fund balance.
That's what the new taxes that we got.
And that was re-estimated some ending fund balances. She went from, what, 391,000 to now 670 coming back. There's 666.
Right.
There's probably more coming back, but then we had emergencies of the power system last week.
Yeah, 36.
You can ask again, but will they bring back 800,000 or other revenue sources come back in? You know, we had the sheriff up here a couple weeks ago and he was gonna spend everything, but what, 50,000?
He gave you 50?
So,
Yeah.
anyway, so Matt, if you add up the new sheet that was timestamped April 8th, I got about, in GBGS, about 26% ending fund balance for next June, and RSV at 20% about. So, yeah, we can keep lowering levy rates, but we really, to David's point, we really can't cut expenditures.
Did you move workers' comp?
We did move workers' comp into GS. I guess Sheila, what was your comment from the state auditor? GBGS usually just a swap back and forth.
Yeah, that's the way they sounded, cause, I was asking about, well, what if I wanted the money from GS back to GB, and they go, well, their experience at the state auditor's level is that they just kinda treat those two accounts the same, they go back and forth, and,
To pay bills and
Yeah,
go back.
yeah.
We know GS can only pay like 7, 8 things, but if we have to pay workers' comp and the 25% hike to Heartland, say July, we borrow from GB,
and we can give it back to GB.
and then when
What
GS
the
comes
taxes
in.
come in.
Why don't you just pay, I'm just saying, why don't you just pay, move some of that stuff back
Yeah,
and just pay them directly out of the JV, and they won't have to transfer money.
Well, we could do that too, but it's that, the majority of the money is in GS. I just need a little help, for some of the expenses,
But you also get reimbursed back, right?
the
the
taxes.
departments, some of them.
I had brought up previously moving one deputy over to RSP, not two. I know I wasn't able to make it the one day when that was also
So
discussed.
what is your total? We might have that before I can find it. The two officers with benefits, was it 257?
That was in the 2 range, yeah.
And if the ambulance service stays afloat above that 750, which I think they are today, which is another mark. So the July 5th payment's probably gonna be waived, like the numbers I see. Can so July 5th will be waived, can the October 5th be waived? We won't know that until another 3 months, but that would leave more money in RSP too.
Then cutting the ambulance,
Well, they'll leave it in there.
considering where, okay.
Leave it in there. What I'm getting at, if that doesn't get spent out of RSP, it's gonna be a hefty RSP
Any fun?
ending fund. Yeah, that sheet, the yellow one. That shows what the two officers actually take out of RSP.
Okay.
That is like 257. But
I
can,
got 250,
257, 258.
Overtime, 261 total there for public.
I don't think both of them can go back into GBGS, but I don't think so. One of them could be back. And I'm just gonna read, I don't know, I got 7, 8 bullet points, why we are where we're at. So you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a huge budget amendment like in July for body cameras and car cameras. But I think that cost $225,000 out of the ending fund. That was not budgeted for. There were some pay raises in fiscal year, deputy downstairs. Heart and wrist pull went up about 25.88. That's a pretty big jump in GS.
Unless you get none of it back, you don't get it.
There was no credits back this year. Another thing that caused this was giving back, paying for some of the family health insurance that was not budgeted for. So now we're playing catch up and moving forward to the next fiscal year. More expenses for day-to-day operations like heat, electricity, gas to run all these buildings. I've tried to keep levy rates down in the past. EMA is asking for 130. Well, they were asking for what, 250-ish?
252.
We brought it down to 130. I know last year we only gave 100 out of GS. The libraries are getting their 6% requested out of RSP. building expenses never go down. I think we have one, two, maybe one, too many buildings owned by the county. And then the thing that we always forget, we can get like the bypass basin given to us from the DOT. We can get farmland donated to us, but who's gonna maintain those under the county conservation department? Wages are not cheap, gasoline's not cheap, tractors are not cheap. To maintain those properties is not gonna stay cheaper. And we're trying to improve the county government. Yes, I don't like the staircase of tax levies going up, like straight up. But I think we're playing catch up is one thing. And two, there was a lot of expenditures that were not predicted. I think the ending fund balances were perfect last year when we approved the budget last year. This year, I just named a couple things that cause and effect. And there's probably many more that I'm missing. To keep up with good staff and wages. I know we see it in our own houses, food prices, inflation, but we are trying to run a business. I know property tax, and the rollbacks are not there, and the tax credits are not there from the feds and the state. I think the department heads are looking for grants all the time, or donations. Can we lower RSB? Probably. Should we move a deputy back? We could. I think we worked hard on this budget for 5-6 months. Some of the wages were negotiable in union negotiations. They were playing catch up a little bit. I don't know how we're going to continue with the 4 and 4 for the next 2 years, but. So yeah, I guess if we want to lower RSV, I can see that as an option. Do we lower EMA a little bit? I don't know. Do we talk about the things I talked about last week, moving health insurance 95/5, 70/30, to go back to the 2014 times?
I brought that up back when, we had made a decision, was it like a Thursday? Wednesday or Thursday, and then the next week I said, hey, maybe we should tap the brakes a minute on the health insurance.
You did.
And
You did.
Jake, you said that we couldn't do that to our employees and that they probably already had cut their health insurance and we're gonna take it from wherever they were getting it before, so I don't know how we can now lower it, why it was not okay before, but it would be okay now.
Because you would do it at the fiscal year on the open enrollment. You would not do it just in the middle of even, we had to pull teeth to even change it as a change of event for October 1st.
If we would have tapped the brakes a minute, we could have done it at the change of.
We did their homework. I think I remember that comment right before the vote, Matt, is, did anybody do a fiscal impact? And you guys still voted in 4-1.
So, right. So I don't know how we can change the health insurance now, but even though it's changed. Well, even so, it's not right to them.
Open enrollment, people can make change to that open enrollment. A lot easier than a policy change in the middle of the year. So those are the things, some of those answered Arnie Bogey's first letter. I know you wanted to know why the cause and effect. The next thing is cutting amount of service time. Not saying cut services, but do we just offer less hours of operation? That's. I don't know, it'd be nice to see the 2030 census, because I think population is growing in this county. When that happens, the property tax owners will be forking out the bill. If we have to provide more services for taxation, driver's license, public health, all the things that people want, or do we find surcharges? Do we raise the camping rate again? Do we raise serving papers? How do we bring in other revenue than property tax?
Traffic cameras.
Yes, you can.
For now. I might go away the next 2 weeks also.
Can we put those on gravel roads? I think we need to move at least one, I'd say move one deputy back, but that's my opinion. Where I was previously as well.
Is there any other comment?
How much was one deputy moving back?
125.
Not how much on the levy rate, I'm just curious.
Well, that's the thing. Do we adjust levy rate down to like, 3.5 RSB? Gotta do the math. Right now it's at 3.7. It won't be much.
I don't know if we'd even lower it that much, but a little bit would help.
The biggest one is GS. I mean, is there any way you can lower GS? Probably not. If we keep health insurance where it's at, and we can't negotiate Heartland anymore. That rate is coming in July 1st. We can lower, you guys don't like hearing it, but EMA. To say cut 500,000 out of GS, I don't see it without dramatic changes on those benefit plans. And that's why RSV is higher too for Romans right here. But secondary roads, how many people moved over to family in that department? 5, 6, 8,
I think 7,
7. So that's
7-ish.
about 60,000. 65,000 more.
Those employees are very thankful for that, by the way.
I get it. Taxpayers are not. Gotta balance it somehow.
Any other comments or discussion? Yes, for a motion to close the public hearing.
So move on closing the public hearing for the budget fiscal year 24-25.
Second. Motion seconded. Any further comments, discussion? If not, roll call. Jake?
Aye.
Travis?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Steve? Aye. Myself, aye. You guys wanna schedule a meeting to work on the budget, or you wanna make some changes, or what do you wanna do?
I think we could either go back to it this afternoon or meet tomorrow, but how are we gonna handle the DOT one that's due by midnight?
That's my next question.
We have to submit that. You can always change it. That'd be my suggestion. DOT and the state, the county budget do not need to be the same. It's highly recommended, and I like to keep them the same. But the DOT's budget is due today if we want to get that into the tip and the stip. I mean, it's, the legislation did something kind of wonky with that ruling, but we need to get that to them today. So I guess if something changes, then we do a state budget amendment. Not a big deal. I'm gonna be probably doing one after we do our county amendment for this year. It's kind of fiscal year.
All it would be is changing the levies, would it not? Isn't it come down to Department appropriations?
His budget?
No, not you, not you.
No, I mean, if you guys change something that has to do with secondary roads budget, then I would probably change it with the DOT after the fact. I mean, but I strongly suggest that you approve the 5-year program and the state's budget today.
Yeah, we don't have to do this resolution. I was prepared until April 30th. That's the latest. What he has is 2 line items to approve his stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know,
We can pass his as is today, and then if there's a change, he just has, we have to do it.
if there's a change affecting the secondary roads budget, yes. If there's a change that doesn't affect it, then I won't change anything.
And if we were to move one deputy, that wouldn't change your budget, so it'd be fine.
Okay, I mean, unless it changes the amount of RSP that secondary roads is receiving, I don't foresee, which in turn would probably change, I'd have to do some expense reduction. But if that doesn't change, then I'm leaving that how it is.
And then the 110 for road clearing
Correct.
doesn't change either. Unless you wanna ask Mr. Chair if somebody wants to approve this as is, as presented, as published.
I can ask for a motion to approve resolution 041524-19, approving an adoption of the fiscal year 24-25 county budget. Is there a motion?
People just,
Is there a motion? Fails for the lack of a motion.
I think if we go back, I know we have an appointment here that
Yeah, we've
I passed you.
Yeah, we need to go to our closed session with Roman. Is there a motion for a closed session pursuant Iowa Code Section 21.5, subsection 1, subsection I?
Thank you for you guys coming. I need to make a motion to go into closed session under 21.5 subsection 1. Subsection I, I'll read I, to evaluate professional competency of an individual's employment, hiring, performance, or discharge of communication when necessary to prevent needless and irreparable injury to that individual's reputation, and that individual did request a closed session.
We have to sign a sheet from whoever this individual is.
Yes.
Motion and second, any further discussion? If not, roll call, Jake,
Aye.
Travis,
Aye.
Matt, Steve, and myself, aye.
We need to call right now. I'm sorry.
No action out of closed session, so, Rowan Lansing, department update.
So last week we were spot rocking in many areas, blades were out all week, dura patching up in Alta Vista. Kind of a good time to do it while the road's closed. I did bring up, we can talk more on the 5-year plan, that maybe we could do out of the infrastructure fund, possibly a double chip seal just in Alta Vista. Just to get that road to, 2028, if we're reconstructing it, it might not be the worst idea. We could maybe get some quotes and see if that's somewhere we wanna go. I know a lot of people still are not big fans of that stretch in town, but
It's probably not gonna really make any smoother though, is it?
if we did a double chip seal, you could get it to fill in the defect areas and it'd probably make it a little bit smoother. Probably not anything perfect. We can look into options on it though. I just thought I'd bring it up. Bridge crew did start an abutment pile encasements. That'll continue into this next week, as well as redecking some of our old timber bridges. Tires are becoming a very big issue in our right of way. Counties, we're paying $4 to $5 a piece on each tire that we pick out of the ditch, and that's a car or truck tire, and then $15 for semi tires roughly. So that is coming out of secondary roads budget to pay the disposal fee on those, and seems like a lot of people are doing it, which not a big fan of it. B18, they paved up to the bridge north of North Washington last Friday, and they are going to continue today. Whether it's rain or cold temperatures could make us kind of have to go back and do handwork at the intersections if we can't do mainline paving, but we'll see with the weather. But either way, they'll be working on what they can with everything accounted for.
It's amazing how fast they're moving.
Yeah, I mean, if we had a good week of weather, I'd say we'd be done with mainline by the end of the week, so. But apparently it's gonna rain, which we need that too, so. But then they are also planning to place rock at the driveways up to that same location for residents. They were planning on starting that this morning, so they can get onto the pavement. We do ask anybody that is on that pavement to drive with caution, as there is a shoulder drop off. There's no shoulder rock on it now, so it's still closed through traffic, but I'm sure people aren't gonna follow that. So as long as they're being careful. The Bremer County Line Bridge, that is now planned to start late this month. Things can change too with PCI. They're gonna keep us posted. Again, Bremer County is responsible for the project admin on that, since we did the development. Soil borings, we got those completed for Bridge 0270 on 300th Street east of E56. Terracon did that. That's for a substructure design. We'll do it on Bridge 2400, but I told them to wait until we get our B18 project done. The CWEC wind turbine project, Blattner ran out of rock at their stockpile. So they will be pulling rock out of Sticker Quarry, crushed to our spec. They're about 50-ish% done, I'd say, with the haul routes, getting resurfacing put on them. And contract rock, Bruning's been hauling the rock from Blattner, so Bruning currently plans to move on to our contract rock once they're done with the haul routes for Blattner, which is a good thing. Which we've been doing a lot of sampling and testing at various quarries they're crushing at. Renee did attend a 2-day OSHA training last week. She's been doing a lot for safety. I know you guys discussed it earlier with her. And I think she's fully deserving of whatever you guys are proposing with that safety coordinator position. Submitted a budget amendment request last week to Sheila after we discussed the 2 pickups that are gonna be purchased this current year. We did get those all pickups ordered. We'll probably gonna pick up the 2 2022s this week. All employees did MSHA training last Wednesday. The week prior, we did have 2 days of winter operations, April 2nd and 3rd. We had varying number of one-ways out for the 1st, 6th, and 2nd, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and then 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. the following day. More of the same, I guess, as far as just normal maintenance, blades out, spot rock. We've been seeing a lot of signs, and we've got longitudinal subdrains on many of our paved roads, but we've seen a lot of signs and then a lot of utility, PEDs and stuff getting burnt by residents burning their ditches. When they burn it, and it's pretty evident that they were intentionally burning it and didn't take time to protect any of our infrastructure, we send them a reimbursement request. For the most part, they do pay that back, but I just reminding the public to protect those things in the right of way. Whether it's taking a plastic marker off and then putting it back on, or weed eating around what's that, man?
What's a PED stand for? You said PEDs?
It's where they link wires for utilities. They're the plastic
Yeah.
stands, sometimes they're metal, but a lot of them go to plastic and they melt and burn pretty good. So, just wanna remind the public to be cognizant of what they're burning. We did receive cultural resource evaluation concurrence from the Iowa DOT, submitted that to the State Historic Preservation Office for both bridges for FY '25. Looking at CDBG grant opportunities or IEDA options for the city of Alta Vista. More so just communicating with that grant coordinator on behalf of the city. They wanted kind of a guide on what the project is proposing to do, so I don't think that that's probably gonna be a feasible option, but maybe it will. Again, we'll look into grants as they come, but Alta Vista is kind of in need of thinking outside the box on there and trying to find another about $800,000 to $900,000 for their projects. Bridge inspections are underway. And then, I coordinated with the Iowa DOT on the Highway 18 bridge detour, marked out some dust control that they will be responsible for when the time comes. They're responsible for the maintenance of the actual detour. This is an unofficial detour, so we're still responsible for the maintenance, but they are responsible for placing the dust control and the cost. When they wanted us to bill them, I said, how about you just pay the supplier direct, so it's not a burden on our budget at all, and they agreed, so. That's all I got for updates.
Review and approve fiscal year 2025 Iowa DOT secondary road budget for Chickasaw County.
So the budget matches the county budget aside from one difference, which is the road clearing is shown as a revenue in the county's budget, and that expense, full expense, is shown in the expense. For the DOT, there's not an area for the road clearing, so I basically, and this is allowed, just so you're aware, take that 110 proposed off of the expected expenses and put that in for the DOT's expense. So it's $110,000 difference, but it's the same if you run the numbers.
I'll move to approve the fiscal year 2025 Iowa DOT secondary road budget. Authorized chair signature.
Chair and auditor as well.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion seconded, any further discussion? Not, roll call, Jake? Aye. Travis?
Aye.
Steve? Aye. Matt?
Aye.
Myself, aye. Review and approve the Iowa DOT County 5-year program for Chickasaw County.
So I gave you guys the drafts of the budget, drafts of the 5-year program, a map showing the 5-year program. There is a lot of moving parts to this, especially with our current possibility of tipping. So Alta Vista, well, let's see, if you look in FY '25, there's a day labor project shown. Of course, every future year, there will be additional day labor ones. We just don't plan that far out. It's kind of a year or two in advance, you start to think about what your own crew is gonna be doing, which we have several of them. You just don't put them in the 5-year program because it's a moving target anyway. Which anything aside from next year is kind of that way. It's not set in stone, but you're trying to get your plan together. But first year, which would be FY '25 in this, is pretty well set. So one thing that you'll see is that B22 right now is scheduled for FY '26. That road does need to be resurfaced, whether we do asphalt or concrete. But with our tipping discussions, we don't know where we're at on that. If we're gonna enact it, again, the New Hampton School District would be the roads that we focus on for TIF. But if we are tiffing, then I would say we could maybe utilize our farm to market account dollars and move them outside of the New Hampton School District. B21, for example, is in drastic need of resurfacing. So if you look through there, you'll see a lot of them that anything that's inside the New Hampton School District could potentially be utilizing TIF dollars.
Where's B21 at again?
That would be down south of 346, west of 63, 4-mile stretch.
Brenner.
The B56 overlay that we have scheduled for FY27, you know, that is kind of set in stone unless we were to allocate that money to a different project, but that, again, a stretch of road that is in bad need of reconstruction, which we got $1.8 million out of a 2.2 rough estimate from Intercog in a SDBG grant. Just some other notes, I did put one thing that you wouldn't see last year was Bridge 0690. That is down on 290th. There is a very large detour for that bridge. It is a very long bridge. Could maybe try to get the county bridge construction fund, which we've been doing every year, and there's other bridges that get it throughout the state, but we're talking probably a 300 to 350 foot bridge that's gonna have to go in there. I added that in because if that does get posted, I could imagine that a lot of farmers are not gonna be very happy about that down there, because you're talking, I think, a 4.5, I just put large detour, it's probably a 4 or 5 mile detour, which is, for our county, pretty large. I mean, a lot of people don't realize how nice it is to have basically 1 mile grids in our county, but you have to pay for those roads. You have to pay for those bridges. So, I mean, once we do start talking about taking dollars away, that might be someplace where it actually becomes into effect. If we don't have residences on a road, might be we have to cut these roads out. Because if you have 2,000 vehicles a day or 20 vehicles a day, a 100-foot bridge still costs as much as a 100-foot bridge. So. Then also Bridge 19670 south of New Hampton here on South Lynn, which again, plan to have some talks with the new mayor and the city council, been in communication with Casey a lot. You know, at some point, South Lynn, North Lynn are gonna have to be resurfaced. Again, is that a TIF potential there? Don't know yet. But the bridge south of town, it is partially in the city of New Hampton's jurisdiction, so we can apply for city bridge funds. And that goes for a lot of the cities around in the county that we have bridges where I'll communicate with them. I can make the applications, but they gotta submit it. There's many that we could annex. The one south of Bassett, if Bassett would annex a piece of that bridge, we could be eligible for city bridge funds. And that's up to 80% of the cost. So, just so you guys, I just wanted to point out some of those things. Bridge 2530, I still don't know if you guys want, that's gonna be, you're looking at about a $1.4, $1.5 million bridge. Right now, the ADT shows 30. It's not a long detour, that's on 150th, just west of B18. I haven't seen too many people coming in and asking, you know, when's this bridge gonna get replaced? And it's probably gonna get closed before it gets replaced, but do we want to replace that? Or do we wanna take $1.5 million and focus on some of our heavier traffic roads?
The only one that approached me was Grover Dairy. They got kills on both sides.
Yep.
It's the only one that has a concern with that one, but right now it's only a car. What is it, 2 ton, 3 ton?
3 ton, so there, you can't reduce that anymore. I wouldn't be surprised if that gets closed this year. Again, you go 1 mile south, a half a mile east, you're at B18. So it's not the most inconvenient detour. I get it, it is inconvenient, but I'm just trying to put this in perspective for you guys that these bridges cost a lot of money. And what benefit are we getting? I mean, I don't want to do a disservice to anybody, but where's our money going?
No, I get it, but you got that unapproved there by, Ring.
Yep,
Ring
they had
Avenue.
Do rail cars or anything like that help with?
But it's so high.
That bridge is,
No, I just mean in general with other bridges or.
we're always thinking of ways to go as cheap, but still be, you know, structurally sound. But on that stretch, you're talking probably a 230-foot structure. So, probably not. You'll probably be looking at a precast, pre-stressed beam bridge.
Be a long rail car.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's basically all I have. We have a lot of roads that are needed some TLC in some way, shape, or form, but I believe the TIF mechanism would be a great tool to repair failing infrastructure, as current funding mechanisms such as local dollars and farm to market are not adequate for the number of miles we have. I hate to be the bearer of that bad news. We're trying our best, and all our maintenance staff, I think, is doing a great job, the foreman, the office staff, but I do suggest that we still go down this road of tax increment financing. I know there's been some talk of whether or not to do it, but that's a decision for you guys to make, but I think it would help our infrastructure a lot, as well as other entities.
I'll move to approve the Iowa DOT County 5-year program.
We need chair signature on that.
Chairs.
Yep.
Second.
Motion seconded, any further discussion?
If not, roll call, Jake.
Aye.
Steve.
Aye.
Matt.
Aye.
Travis.
Aye.
Myself, aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Sheriff Ryan Schulberg.
Yeah, so,
And Dave Burke.
Dave and I, so early on in the budget work sessions this year, my initial budget showed, I had increased line item for building repairs and maintenance, discussed with the board about making our lobby more secure, it's more secure entrance, so general public and inmates being released from jail are coming in, going to direct access into the upstairs of our office as well as my office. And we talked about that, and then it was discussed, we had to do a building project where it fall under Dave Gorman's budget. So then when he's taken out of there, so Dave came over and said, hey, what do you think of doing? And the proposal we're looking at doing is building a wall with a door access so people can't directly access the upstairs and my office. And part of that, in order to do that, would also frame in and close off the display cases in the lobby right now as well. So we got talked to two different contractors, Bob Hackman and Dan Under Construction, both came and looked at the project. We'll talk with Dave. We'd like to give the contract to Bob Hackman. This quote came in at $3,273. That includes the wall, sheetrock, steel door, mudding, texturing, all that stuff. No painting, but I feel the staff could probably handle that. One thing that was discussed after the fact, after we got this, was to also frame in a small, what is that, 3-foot by 3-foot window perhaps, which was the old pass-through window when dispatch was up front. Serves no purpose right now. Just thought we'd just frame that in as well, but that's not included in this. So did mention it to the contractors when they came in. Is there in addition to that? So bring it to the board, just let them know that we're looking at doing changing the structure of the building with anything. So that's what we're doing.
Or is that window gonna be blocked?
So you got the main window, you come in where civil is, it's kind of back in that cubby hole. Yeah, it's tinted, but you can still look through it. It serves no purpose. Let's just get rid of it.
Your wish is to do it out of this year's budget?
Yeah, that's what Dave Comer talked about.
Yeah, I checked with Sheila and the girls in there, what we have in the building budget over there, and we're in good shape, so. You know, money wise, I think we have plenty to do what Ryan's proposing, so.
What, let's say we end up going through with a jail or a holding facility or something. Is that, will that hinder any, I mean, will it have to come back out or?
Depends what direction we go, whether we do a full remodel of the blighted facility that's now been deemed blighted or built new, so. Depends on what direction we go. I think either way, I think we're done. I think we're through this year. I don't think anything's gonna happen as far as any vote wise this year. There's been no talk about it since the blighted discussion, so. Earliest you're looking at is maybe the general election of 25. So which would still be best case scenario 3 or 4 years down the road. Could it stay? It all depends on what the design is and what comes back, so. I think it's a good safety security feature for the office.
It's a small amount, so I think for the safety of the office, I think it's needed now.
It was needed years ago. My first day here, it was one of the first comments I made.
When you walk in any other office and this, it'd be
Never
the-
been to a jail before, holding facility, or whatever you wanna call it, law enforcement facility, where I can just walk myself and take myself through. I'm always astonished whenever I'm over there, so.
every office
Well beyond me.
in here, you know, Sheila's, you gotta get past somebody and auditors, clerk of court, engineer, going all of them, so.
I'll move on.
Second.
Motion is seconded, any further discussion?
Just about half, I believe, had the lowest bid. You did, I don't know whether I put it on. Go with,
All right, been motion seconded, any further discussion?
I just think it's needed, but here we go again. It's not in the budget till next year, so we take it out of next year's now. Just my 2 cents. It's needed, I get it. Just gonna lower it
What kind of
anyhow.
timetable did he give for coming over?
I asked if he could have it done and invoiced before middle of June, and he said he could.
Oh, okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Anything else for Ryan?
That's all I had.
Is Joel up there?
Yeah, Joel.
Okay, so good.
Chuck, are you talking about the regular?
You want to do Chuck? If we didn't, yeah, we could do Chuck's update quick, just get Chuck out of here.
You don't
Go
mind.
ahead, yeah.
So a real quick update on the remodel. All the demo is complete. Rough framing is done. Everything is fine there. They're in there doing the plumbing and the HVAC right now. Our next step will be the electrical. Then we'll have the inspection from the state before any interior finishes start or anything like that. I don't even want to say this, but we're quite a ways ahead of schedule, but anything can change, obviously, as we all know, with the construction project, but things are looking real good down there. Haven't had any issues. We're getting to the point where it's gonna be a little inconvenient for these guys, because we'll be cutting the cameras and internet and stuff like that off for a few days, but we'll make that as quick as we can, and everybody's getting along great, so
Is
no
anybody,
issues there.
sorry, is anybody talking to TSIO at all, as far as getting Ethernet pulled?
Yeah, yep, they're ready whenever we are. They're in town almost every day, he told me, so they can schedule us in pretty conveniently. So, once we get to doing the electrical, I'll have those guys here probably at that same time.
When do you expect to do the electrical?
I was hoping maybe the end of this week, depending on how mixed, they're packing, that plumbing is tight. And it's taking them a little time, but they're gaining on it, so maybe the end of this week, first part of next week, we get in there. You know, you could probably expect a update in a month from me, and there'll probably be some sheet rock up and maybe even some muddy. So I think we'll be just fine, barring any major setbacks, we'll be just fine on the timeline. So that's about it for that. So the courthouse wire project, I was just talking with Dave a little bit. If it would be weird that the weather was gonna be funky Saturday, we could do it Sunday. He's gonna talk with Denny and make sure that's okay. Everything is ordered and will be here tomorrow. Key thing on getting that done is we saved $2,700 on ordering the wire Friday instead of ordering it today. So the special meeting was very well needed. Everything is on as planned. I talked to Denny this morning. I didn't mention Sunday, but Dave brought it up, you know, it was gonna be 38 degrees Saturday morning, it's gonna be 50 degrees Sunday morning. We might. If it's not raining, we're probably gonna do it. Nobody wants to be here on Sunday, including me and my guys or Dave or Denny, so if we can get it done Saturday, we will for sure. Dave's gonna let us in, and he's gonna stick around long enough to see if those wires come out of that pipe.
That'll tell the whole story.
Yeah, so, if the phone's not ringing red hot Monday morning, we got it done. If it is, we'll go to plan B, so. That's all I got.
Anybody got any questions for Chuck? No, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, now EMS Director Joel Knudsen, discuss the debt collection procedures. I think everybody got a copy.
I don't know what questions Joel, so I can talk first, I guess, but we've discussed this 3 or 4 times now, and I think Joel and I's recommendation remains the same. That we enter into contract with Tri-State Adjustments to handle the collections and let them keep what they can keep and have them operate and recommend us on potential litigation, small claims if it's worth it, and on a case-by-case basis. And evaluate as it goes. I mean, I think there was talk of us perhaps sending a demand letter a couple weeks ago from either Joel's office or my office. I have no issue doing that for those that are listening. That's not a problem at all. That's the easy part. The hard part is what happens when they get the demand letter and they call Joel's office or my office. And they say, hey, well, we'll settle for $1,000 on a $3,000 debt. Who decides whether we take that or what the number should be? Or if they say, hey, we'll give you $100 a month starting June 1 and they pay for 3 months and then come August, they don't pay. Then who decides that? Or if they say, hey, all I can afford is $15 and I'm not fixed income and I'm a senior citizen and we have a heart and we say our minimum is $50 a month and we make exceptions. The letter is not hard. It can be done in a day and we can send out form letters. Dealing with the debtors at that point is going to be the difficult process and it's going to take time and there's going to have to be additional standards put in place. And then when do you make exceptions? Do you make no exceptions? To me, it's far simpler just to say it's all TSA's responsibility. They collect what they can, they keep a portion of it, eat what they kill, and move forward from that perspective. I just think that's the cleanest and easiest way. I know it costs the county some money, but it's gonna cost us some money going the opposite direction too. If you're gonna have either Joel's staff or Joel himself or me or my staff chasing down debtors. You fill in the blanks, I guess, but that's what we discussed.
Yeah, 100%. Any questions?
So we're gonna approve 2 things, the policy and the TSA agreement. Anything change on the TSA agreement?
Not to my knowledge.
I have one of those agreements with me.
Yeah. You just need the agreement signed, or do you need the agreement with the client?
It's both. I think there's 2.
So I'll move on the, make a motion to move on the debt asset collection policy for EMS.
Second. Motion seconded. Any further discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I think there's 2, Jake. There's the actual agreement and then there's the client connect agreement, which I think is their software program, and there's also an ACH. So I would just,
I
you
have,
want to make a motion, I just motion for the chair and auditor to sign all necessary documents to hire TSA to do it. That we cover everything.
Does their date have to be changed if they put like a 90-day response? Does anybody know that? Because this is dated
February 15th.
February 13th.
And they may have a new version. I think we could probably reach out to them and see if they can send us the updated stuff. We're ready to sign and keep going.
I'll move to have chair and auditor sign all documents of TSA for a service agreement between them and Chickasaw County EMS.
Second. Motion and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Can we get the original copy, put it in the EMS book?
I'll remove the draft and send out.
Yeah, they'll send it to me and then I can do. Thank you.
We wanna go back and, anything else to discuss on the, safety coordinator? You wanna just reach out and get some more information on?
Yeah, if you wanna reach out to Mitchell County, just make sure they fund it out of, if they fund it at all, which it sounds like they do, but.
Okay.
Anything else, anybody have anything else on that safety coordinator?
They have a full-time as well. Their safety, or, part-time, excuse me, part-time.
Yeah, they use their office manager.
Their secretary. Committee assignment updates. Again, we had a Floyd Mitchell Chickasaw County landfill meeting last Thursday night. The President Murphy tractor was there. They agreed to all the demands that we had made over the new haul truck. They've given us a 5-year unlimited hour warranty and a 5-year service agreement that we only pay for glass and tires. We'll pay for servicing the vehicle when it needs to be serviced. And we do not have to sign the prototype agreement that they were wanting us to sign. So we directed the landfill's attorney to draw up the contract, sign, and so it looks like we've got that all resolved. So finally, yeah. That's all I had. Anybody else got anything in committee assignments? Well, it's future agenda items.
Can we, discuss whatever it was Renee was referring to this morning? Whatever those issues are that, I don't know, been brought forward to us, or what we're gonna do with whatever is going on there?
Yeah, I could talk to her, put that on the agenda.
Sounds like something needs to be addressed.
Are we gonna go back to the budget today, or are we gonna have?
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Do we wanna go back and work on budget now, or this afternoon, or?
Well, I've been hearing it's just moving that equity over and see if we can lower RSV a little bit, if it does surely have 20% in there, so.
I don't think it would take very long.
Sure.
No, but it might take time to, well, in the resolution, have to be retyped.
So,
To the
could we
resolution.
have a morning meeting, and if you guys are in consensus?
Wednesday preferably. So Russ, can you do it next Monday? Can you just recommend what you want to change and fix it for Monday?
I think, yeah, move that one deputy back for GB to NGS.
And
You can ask the department head, Ryan, if he wants it specific to, because he has a code for Johnson and KK. Doesn't really matter which officers.
starting with it from RSB to GB. So, which is gonna be GBGS.
Correct. Yep.
Are you able to pull Dome up so we could figure out what 100 and
Yeah, that levy rate could be.
that levy rate could be?
For rural services? Well, I could, if I knew how to do this. Let's see, we're gonna go here. And then we're gonna go here, and then into the cast.
Save and signature.
And then,
Because it looks like you had 255 and 813. Is one of them making more money than the other one?
so for,
I think maybe.
and you guys, they just changed this all on me, so it might take me a minute to find it. They just, Friday, they put up a new website here.
Just for discussion, just take 255,913 divided by 2.
It's 127,956. You just made it 125 or something.
It has to be enough in there though, otherwise the auditor will have to go flip flop. On the last paycheck, it has to come out of GBGS, but you probably say 130, just for trying to figure out what it would be. Because usually the planning commission gets back money too, but what is that at? 9,465? So if you left what, Matt, 130 in there?
Yeah,
So take out. $125,913. Where you have the two 1040 officers out of RSB.
So what number did you guys come up with?
Leave in 130.
Okay, so I'm gonna,
So then you gotta put 125,913 back in GBGS. Whatever one you wanna work on first.
so we'll take out RS first, let's go to my, I guess I gotta go. So I'm gonna take out how much?
So only leave 130 in RSB.
Okay, let's see if I can go here. So that would be. So 113, so, oops. Oh, let me in there. Oh, I can't move it. I gotta return to draft, sorry. Let me that. So we're gonna leave 130 in here.
Yep.
And so we're gonna, does anybody have a calculator?
125,19 back to what number you have now? Well, that's total though, GBGS.
Yeah, and I gotta split it up.
125 what?
125,913.
Does anybody got a calculator on?
Yeah, I do. What do you want?
Okay, so if you do 15, or if you do 7,500, 8,315,
Yep.
and say 15,000. How much is that?
3815.
And then let's add that to general supplemental, so 2,075.
32,890.
So, and then take your amount off the 130 that you just added here. So what amount did you come up with? So, or take one, or take,
The original number was 255,913 minus 130.
okay, and then,
That's 125,913.
so and then you subtract the 30 you put here.
The 30,000.
Yeah, so then we're gonna
Gotta add 95,913.
so do you wanna add that to this? So I'll give you,
5175.
yes, or
146.
175.
Yep.
Okay,
146.88. So now, yeah, see what levy rate, it'll just make the ending fund balance bigger.
I'm gonna say those. And then I'm gonna go, and you wanna see what our ending fund balance is, right?
Yeah, but you can lower it by 125,913.
That's already been lowered.
Correct.
Mhm.
So can you mess with the levy rate then?
Okay, yes, I can, so we're gonna go to, property taxes. And you wanna mess with rural services, correct?
Yeah.
And so should I take it down 2 points?
You can try 3.5 or 3.55.
Just a second, I gotta get where my rural services is. Okay, so if I go to,
How much do we need?
so if we took out 255,000, so I can take this down to 2.3.
No, we only took out 125, 913.
Okay, so it is at 2.25, so it'd be, well,
What is that, Sheila, 2.585?
I'm gonna take this, yeah, I'm gonna just take it here, and put it here,
How much did we say, 125 or 130?
paste it.
So
So
we
we took
took
out
out
130,
125, 913. We left 130.
125, 519, or 913,
913.
okay, so we're gonna do equal, take this, minus this. And then I'm gonna take this number, copy it, and I'm gonna take it back here. And I'm gonna paste it. So it takes it down to 3.52. And last year it was 3.3.
3.2, yeah.
Yeah, so we brought it up.
We lowered it by another 18 cents. But we raised it by 30 from last year. So then on the right over there. So it's still
This is the actual taxes we'll get
on property.
on property is 2.364566. So then if I go down to my zero service area and go to rural services, our ending balance would be 476,635.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, I'm sorry, no, I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong number. It'd be 662,540.
The numbers are big.
I know,
It does because
It's 26.9%.
because I just,
all we lowered is 125.
right,
But then,
and then we took, but how much did we take off of it?
did you save the levy rate?
I got it here.
No, on the dome.
No,
What did that, did it reset back down to?
oh, maybe, let me save it then and see if that's what it did. Because last time I had,
Yep,
okay,
you didn't
because,
save it.
okay, let's see
Now go
if that
back to
makes
the
a
ending
difference.
fund.
All the way down. Rural services, yep, you're right, I have to save in between 536,635.
So that's still gonna give us about 22 in the fund balance of the expenditures. Go back to secondary roads.
3.5.
What's that?
3.5.
You want me to go
Yeah,
to secondary roads
No, just go down a little bit.
to,
With the one we were just in.
okay, and you want me to go down
I
here?
thought secondary roads was in there that we give them right there.
What?
1.993. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's the same number.
Mm-hmm,
Okay, go back to where you wanted to go. The other
I didn't want to, I thought you wanted to go
Well,
to,
Matt wanted to go back to the other
I think we
3.5.
like 3.5, what 3.5 does.
On the
But
levy rate.
that might be way too much.
on,
It won't be that much because of the.
We have
500.
3.5, so
I'm sorry, guys. Here we go. So what do you want me to do?
what do you get with 3.5?
She can't change that, so she has to lower the boost.
I have to lose this.
So lower that down to like 2, 4.
24, 25?
It's 3.47.
How much
Yeah, I
did
can't do
that-
it
how much
because
did that
I-
just get, how much did that just get lowered by? Did you just take off from there and 2.4? What were we at before? 2,459,087? Is that what you were at before?
I was at
But,
2,459.
So she lowered it by 25,000.
Yeah.
Should I go back?
Cause you gotta remember, what's the evaluation in the county rural part, it's $700 million, so.
Not doing much.
Not doing much. Cause it's a huge tax base. It's still lower down to 3.52, but
And if we wait till Monday to go through everything like Dave suggests, maybe we might come up with some other stuff too.
and all we did was.
Move a deputy.
I thought you just moved it, and now the ending fund balance is gonna take care of, the deputy that was there now, or is back there now. The true picture is lowering GS levy rate, but how much do you want in the ending fund balance? And so that's what I was gonna talk about too, if I could quick. I asked for, the treasurers last year at this time to what he just certified this morning with us. Let me find it quick. I think without the expenditures, we're carrying like $500,000 more than last year. Let me get that back. Oh, I thought I had it out.
Oh, I gave you one.
It's here somewhere. Right, pool cash last March, you can add these together, somebody, we had 3.7 in GB and only 666,000 in GS, so that's
What'd you say,
4.3.
600 what?
66,992.
66,000?
Yep. This year that we just certified, 3.12, 193. GS has 1.249, 360. Are we about the same in pool cash from last year to this year? So last year we had 4,400,000. And this year that we just did this morning, we're a little bit lower, I guess. So last year we had 4.4 million, this year we have 4.372. So we're 30,000 difference compared to last year to this year. And those were ran date March 31st, 23, March 31st, 24. A little bit more expenditures this year currently, and next year for sure. The other movement is GS. Do you lower it anymore or? RSV, the movement from 3.7 down to 3.5, yes, did help the rural people. But there was no tax relief for all of us countywide. I gave a lot of reasons to the taxpayers of what changed, and if we're not here yet to cut positions or upkeeps, I think we have to go with it. Otherwise, it's less money to the EMA, less money to wages and benefits, and to give relief to GB. It's only movement is to decrease GS.
No, my calculations are right with the 7 surrounding counties, that'll put us second to lowest levy rate. Fayette being the only one lower.
What about GBGS combination?
I just have totals.
And I'm gonna say it again, some people don't understand when we print something or the reporter prints something, that 19% was only the tax asking for the county to run a business. If you live in a city, it's less than 19%, because the city people don't pay rural RSP.
But then they have their own levy though, right? The
Well, they
city-
pay city levies.
Yes.
So it's a trade-off, one or the other.
But then, you know, I'm not picking on anybody, but I don't see many people at city council meetings or school board meetings or assessor meetings.
It was all over Facebook. I bet people will be there tonight in Hampton. Be a packed house.
They're gonna approve their budget. It'll be nice, I'll be working somewhere else. Grilling hamburgers. I don't know what else we can do. I mean, I think we're good at that 3.52. If you can fix that for Monday, otherwise GS has to be kept. Do we want a 26% in the fund balance? Do we need it?
So I don't wanna save this because I have saved it, right?
I don't think it's, what did we come down to? 536? What did we
Rural
come down for?
services?
Yeah.
We went to 3.52,
Letter.
Yeah, but what would be the ending fund?
okay.
Oh, it would be,
Cause that's where you were talking, 26%, right? Was rural basic?
no,
Well,
26,666.
the 26% is a combination GBGS. And I still think, even with the electrical issue and that, the only concern is if like some of our revenues are not coming in yet from public health or, what other one did I see? We have to keep an eye on public health. I talked to Lisa last week. They're not gonna come, they were supposed to bring in like 985,000 in revenue. Was talking to Lisa and Tina last week, they're gonna be about 150,000 short of that.
and there's like, what, 500-some thousand that get, total revenues for general basic that need to come in yet.
Correct. So, it's just, are we okay with the heat? In my opinion, we're gonna come in with $2.1 million next June as an ending fund balance. In my time, we were happy to have a 1 or 1.4 million.
So you're looking at one,
Back in the day, we were happy to have $1 million in both GBGS.
and
Now we're gonna have 2.1. If the numbers are correct, on the sheet that you gave us for a pool cash report, if you add up GBGS, 2.139 million coming back. And that's if everybody spends all their budget again, next June.
Well, the other thing too is we'll see what, there really won't be any valuations, so you'll have your union negotiations or their any increases. So that could, for any 26.
so didn't you say though that the prior years that they were happy to have $1 million in just GB?
Yeah.
And then so they could give the money,
To GS if need be,
right?
but now you have 2.1 million in both.
But then the taxes have went up. And I guess when I look at, at the beginning of the year, for 3 months, I'm looking at almost $1 million worth of expenses.
But this is not getting any back. Like this year, we could have given back like 800,000.
But I mean, I'm fine, you guys
No,
looked at
I
it,
know,
but
I know.
I'm just telling you my words. You know, cause when I've talked to all the insurance companies, they wanna be paid in that 3 months, else we start getting docked.
Correct.
And, you know, you're talking 530,000 this year, so what's gonna be next year?
Just for Heartland.
And then insurances, you know, my life, I have yet to have an insurance company go down unless I went and changed to a different carrier. And I don't know. You know, I had a crystal ball.
Are you suggesting to lower general supplemental?
I don't know, I'm,
See, and you know, you guys have lived it longer than I have. You guys are better attuned to say, well, maybe we, you know, we will get this way. And then here's the scared person in me thinking, well, what if we don't? So you guys, you know, however you direct me, I'll do it, but
cause what's our,
if you guys think it's too much,
what's our new letter rate for GS, which is only multiplication factor?
you wanna go back to it?
Yeah, what's GS levy?
Okay, we got,
1.7?
GS is 1.9, isn't it?
1.9.
GS is 1.92067.
And it's bringing in 1.8 now?
Yep.
I guess, is everybody else okay with bringing that much in? That's where the additional $1 million is from last year.
You said that the line right to the right of that, the 1.7, that's what we're bringing in, right?
Yeah,
Just the
that's the
property
property tax.
But the blue one is actually what we're bringing in from utilities and.
And last year, we asked for 1,080,000. So we're up 710,000 from last year.
And GB is only bringing in what, 42,000 more from last year?
Yeah, and all the raises, you know, I guess I just don't see GB,
Taking care of.
taking care of GS anymore. So I think GS, the reason we have GS is when GB, we don't have enough in there, but like there's 7 items you can pay out of GS. And when I gave you that factor of how much I have to pay from July to, September before we get taxes, that's based on these numbers this year. That's not even based on an increase. So it's kinda, whatever you guys wanna do.
I don't know, when you take the, I mean, you got $1 million, which first check you writes out, it's gonna be 600,000. And you gotta get to September.
Yeah,
And I know it's a lot more than what we've had in the past, but things cost a lot.
so we used to, from GB, we used to take money, well, like I said, my first year here, there, you know, in a 4-month turnaround, we gave 600,000 from GB to GS. Then we, for the new, and that was at the end of last year before the new fiscal period, and then we gave another 400,000 right off the bat from GB to GS in fiscal year 23-24. So we gave $1 million in less than 6 months from GB to GS in my first year being here, not even being here a year. So I'm just saying, can GB stand to give us that money this next year? Or the following period?
You mean do a transfer?
Yeah. I don't know, you guys.
Probably not with the expenditures.
And what did we get, 40,000 in money or 30?
And GB on growth.
42,373.
No, I don't know,
Not to be exact.
I don't wanna do that. I don't want to pay taxes no more than anybody.
Federal income taxes due today.
I had mine in on Thursday.
maybe yesterday.
Yeah, unless you guys have any other ideas, I mean, otherwise, like I said,
We else got anything else? Okay with the changes we've discussed so far?
So those are the only things you guys want me to change?
We backed it down quite a ways from my initial numbers.
Okay, thank you very much for helping me with this.
Everybody's all good to have those changes made, have it on next Monday's meeting, then?
Just a resolution to approve the budget.
Yeah. So the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion seconded, any further discussion? No, all in favor, say aye. Opposed?
So do I want to save this? I think I saved it one time, I was never been able to see it, so I'm just gonna get out of this.
Yeah.